Hey, Shawn Clement here, Wisdom in Golf for Golf WRX, and today, hey, we just invested in our new Foresight GC Quad, and we're going to be able to bring you some very valuable, information along with your weekly tips. And today's tip, you're really going to see the difference between at the ball and through the ball. The first thing I want to talk about is, for many of my students, when I first asked them the question, where do you think peak speed should be in the swing? And let's look at a couple of different analogies here. So if I'm going fishing and I'm casting a fishing pole towards my pond over here, there's where my peak speed is going to be, where that lure is coming out of my fishing pole. So if we look at that in the golf swing, I'm still casting over there. Now, casting is not a problem if you're casting in the direction that you want to start the ball and not at the ball. So we don't want to cast the lure into the ground. We want to cast the lure out to the pond. So we gather, we let it hinge. Now we're going out toward the pond. So you notice how my brain's got to go get the ground, use the ground to get my body out of the way. And now I'm releasing my lure way out here into the pond. So peak speed's going to be out there. Another great way to, if you watch one of my videos entitled Throwing the Club, Shawn Clement. So when you're throwing the club at the targets, if I had an axe here in my hands and I'm throwing the axe in that direction, peak speed's going to be there. If I'm doing it in a golf swing style, peak speed's going to be out there. Now, if your grip isn't strong enough, so let's look at, the very strong grips that you have out there where, notice how this is really closed. So if I have a square grip with a 4-knuckle showing right here, that's really strong, or I can do 2 knuckles with a very closed face. That is one of the same, or you could do a little bit of each. So when I'm throwing the club, you see how close that is? My hands are always going to lead. So when my hands are leading, you'll notice the club face is no longer closed. It's dynamically square. So we're going to be collecting the ball here. The ball compresses against the face and then releases off the face. So very much like hockey, I'm collecting the puck from here, releasing the puck over there. Same thing here. I'm collecting the golf ball here and releasing the golf ball over there. So I'm closing the face. It's dynamically slightly closed, and I'm going to release one out there. So I'm going to do a practice swing above the ball. I'm going to throw the club in that direction and not let go. So here we go. Yes, I threw the club in that direction, and yes, I missed. So now I lower myself. I'm making a prediction now. If I throw the club over there, yeah, it feels like I'm going to cut grass, which means I'm going to hit the ball solid. So off we go. I'm throwing the club, throwing the club. So if I throw the club over there, and I feel like I've released it out there and the ball hooks that much, so if we look at, I got almost 30 degrees left here, and it says hook. So now I'll just back off that club face a smidge, close it a bit less, and throw it out there again. I'm throwing out there, throw it out there. Yes, I threw it out there. Peak speed was out there. There's 180. Now I've got a little bit more of a draw. So if I have a club face that's too open, so in your mind right now, you're looking down at the club face and you're saying, yep, that's square, got my nice neutral grip. I'm going to throw the club out there. Here we go. Throwing out there, throw it out there. Yes, I threw it out there, but now 8 degrees to the right, that ball is really taken off way too far to the right. So now you're thinking, well, I don't want to go to the right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I don't go to the right. So your club face is nice and neutral. You're throwing the club at the target. The club face is too open. Well, now you're going to go, well, I don't want to go to the right. Now you have to release at the bottom. So if you release at the bottom just to square it up, yes, I was able to square up. Now I'm 158. So I went from 180 with a dynamically square club face, and notice I got a nice little draw, but I'm only hit at 160 now. So there's 20 yards difference between at the ball and through the ball. How do you know if your club face is too open or too closed? Well, you need to know if you're releasing to the target or not. What does that feel like? Well, if you had a sword in your hands, I'm going to hold that sword right at the base of the shaft, slash through that bamboo shoot. So you'll notice as you perform that task, and please do it, you're coming through, there's the beginning of the cut, there's the end of the cut, there's the release. So you notice how everything gets pulled through, elbow, hand, blade, tip of blade. So you'll feel the weight of the sword release your hand over here. So now, if you feel the release was well passed, in other words, if you felt peak speed over here while you were thinking about, so let's say I'm going right edge of that again. So I'm going to feel peak speed out there. Gather. Yes, I felt peak speed out there. Yes, I felt the club release me there. There's 178 for that 7-iron. And I got this beautiful little draw. So much more distance, less effort, and if I release that way and the ball curves too much, that's when I know it's too strong. If I release that way and the ball goes high right, then I know that my grip-club relationship just isn't strong enough. So you want to do that here at address before you ever begin the swing. You don't want to have to feel, like if you feel that you need to square the club face up manually during your swing, you're starting with a grip-club relationship that just isn't strong enough to begin with, okay? When you watch those tour players, you're going to see a lot more strong grips than not. All the best.